Assalamu alaikum. A very good day to everyone. Today I am Muhammad Maruf Hasan from International Islamic University, Malaysia. I am presenting on behalf of my friend Akramuddin and Muhammad Samsul Alam. Today the topic for the discussion is Maududi's comprehensive conception of God, a comparative study of Maududi's concept of Rab and Ilah with common secular notions of God. Basically, these are the table of contents in my presentation today. Introduction, Maududi's life works, ideas, methodology of Maududi on Rab and Ilah, secularism, notions of God, conclusion, later references. Well, in my introductory speech, I would say most of the education system in Muslim world is based on secularism. The same applies to the media, even when they speak positively about God and religion. This is due to the secularism providing the mainstream definition of God. It is common to find religious people describing God as a positive belief. By this, religious people mean that God is just another set of beliefs that anyone can hold or reject based on their own preferences. It is a good belief because it makes you happy. Thus, God is a happy-making belief in a way that craving chocolates is a happy-making belief. For Maududi, God is not a belief, but the very basis for any proper worldview. Maududi contends that without the concept of God, it will be highly problematic to even understand things such as society or economy or human rights. This article firstly discusses the importance of two terms, Ilah and Rab, which is about God. Secondly, it explains why these terms are significant and why Maududi provides a comprehensive analysis of these two terms. Thirdly, it tells how Maududi explains these two terms and compare it to how these terms are usually understood in secular education. Now I will briefly talk about Maududi's life, works and ideas. Syed Abdullah Maududi was born in Hyderabad state, India in 1903 and he died in September 1979 in New York, USA. He established a political party in 1941 called Jamaat-e-Islami, expecting to reform Muslim society, and he produced intellectual works extensively in various topics in favor of Islam. Maududi is famous for the Quranic exegesis, Tafhimul Quran, a commentary of the Quran. He is also famous for term political Islam, Islam and politics. When we talk about politics, we remember about Maududi's works. Our team only focused on one book of Maududi, which is 4 key terms in Quran, and in that book, Maududi uses a combination of textual and comparative methods. Let's look at two important Arabic terms, the Rab and Ilah, and how early scholars they viewed about these two terms. So firstly, Shaykh Salih Fawzan wrote a book on Tawheed. Tawheed refers to oneness of God, and he mentions about Rab and Ilah. But his description of Rab and Ilah is very limited. Basically, he states that Rab is the creator and Ilah is the one we worship. Imam Ghazali discusses different aspects of God's names and attributes. But Imam Ghazali did not specify or highlight that Rab and Ilah is a foundation for the Islamic worldview. Sayyid Qutb looked at the concept of God in terms of more political terms, whereas Maududi looked at it more in terms of worldview. If anyone does not understand the four basic Quranic key terms Rab, Ilah, Ibadah, Deen, it is very difficult for the person to comprehend Tawhid or to believe in oneness of God and to see its complete wisdom. As a consequence, the person will have ambiguous concept about the foundation of Islam, and he or she cannot give complete worship or ibadah for God only. Rather, the person will have tendency to give his or her worship or ibadah other than God unknowingly. To make it clear, we can bring the example of early revelation time during Makkah. The concept of Rab and Ilah was clear to these people, and they understood very well because they already used these terms to refer to their idols. When Muhammad brought the message saying there is no Ilah except Allah, they clearly got that Allah has no least share with any other Ilah or Rab. The concept of Rab and Ilah carry the most significant source to lead life based on any divinely religious values. If the concept of Rab and Ilah is clear to a person, he or she can lead his or her daily life in a comprehensive and meaningful way. Okay, then it is important to ordinary Muslims to understand these two terms because of the Shahada. Maududi also thinks it is important because if people do not understand the terms, they really cannot understand Islam anyway. Maududi mentioned that a Muslim may recite the Shahada that there is no Ilah but Allah, but in practical life he or she can treat others as Ilah. In addition, a Muslim will keep on telling that there is no Rabb but Allah, but he or she will treat others as Rabb. Treating others as Rab and Ilah happened due to lack of understanding, and that is why it is important to know, according to Maududi, these two terms Rab and Ilah. According to Maududi, only one Allah God who has authority and power over everything in the earth and heavens. All blessings come from Allah over his all creation. Everything is bound by law made by Allah willingly or unwillingly. No one in the heavens and earth has the share or least authority. Since he alone created everything in the heavens and earth, he only deserved to be worshipped. Thus, anything that human beings worship besides Allah is inherently wrong. For example, praying other than Allah, seeking refuge, turning for hope and fear, seeking someone for intercession with God, treating as final authority. All these actions can be done only for Allah because he has only authority over heavens and earth as the creator. Maududi provides so many Quranic verses to make his statement clear. For instance, Allah mentions, "The day they come forth, nothing concerning them will be concealed from Allah, to whom belongs all sovereignty this day. To Allah the One, the prevailing." Now I am going to tell you about secular notions of God. Common secular societies view God in a very simplistic way because it does not differentiate between Rab and Ilah. So Rab means one thing and Ilah means another thing in Islam. But in a secular society, you only have God. The concept is only God. So there is no discussion of do you believe in God or not. There is no discussion or awareness in the secular discourse of the concept of Rabb. Rabb is meant as Lord, is the one you serve, so they do not have that. In a secular society, God is seen as personal belief that is not so different from a lifestyle choice. So when you say I believe in God or I don't believe in God, basically it has the same significance in secular society as saying that you like to eat strawberries or you don't like to eat strawberries. That means believing in God is considered just as personal belief. Most of the time, this personal belief does not have effect on their life, whereas it does have effect for lifestyle choice, which means the concept of God has no intellectual impact at all in secular society. So we can see that Maududi has a very complex, sophisticated view of Rab and Ilah, whereas in the secular view, God is meant as something simple. The problem is that by simplifying everything, secularism in fact represents the position of religious people, especially people like Maududi. Due to this misrepresentation, secularism can make its own claim that God is not an important issue because secularism itself makes God into such a simple view. Whereas if we look at Maududi, we see a very complex, sophisticated, interconnected set of ideas that all branches out from the central concept of God, Rab and Ilah. In secularism, God is like some kind of vague spiritual force, but Maududi's view, God is not only specifically clearly defined, but its importance is the clarity of who God is. This is very apparent in the Quran and Sunnah. So when we read Maududi, we get the idea that God is most clear concept for us, that we should follow Him, we should worship Him. He is the only of thing that we focus on. But in secularism, what we see is God is just a kind of spiritual vague thing. So in conclusion, we can say that Maududi's view on Rab and Ilah shows that for him these terms actually contain a very comprehensive meaning of the entire facts of life, whereas most other people consider Rab and Ilah as God is not that much important or meaningful for the society. For Maududi's point of view, these terms are something more comprehensive and rich, and he also has a far richer and sophisticated conception about Rab and Ilah. Maududi's work is based on the principle of Rab and Ilah. Even his most political ideas contain explicit references to Rab and Ilah. Academics have investigated Maududi's ideas and found them to be an original contribution to Islamic discourse. In particular, it has been found that Maududi's idea tackle contemporary issues without neglecting the primary sources of Islamic revelation. Maududi's ideas differ from the secular ideas in many aspects. This means Maududi has contributed to a critique of secularism as many other academics after him have done. Thank you so much for listening our presentation. So these are the differences, and hopefully we have tried our level best to convince the ideas we have presented in this paper. So thank you so much once again, and forgive me for any mistakes or shortcomings. Thank you so much.